Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to discuss a problem we all have in Apex Legends. That's running into people who mistreat you in game, but also people who are bluntly socially inept in how they treat you. Today I have Violet Lex with us, and we're going to hit on tips, but overall the concept of treating others how you want to be treated. So let's deep dive into the video. Alright, so Lex, we have the question because Apex Legends players suffer from social cues, really. How do you deal with toxicity as you improve?
Personally, I feel like as I have grown as a player in Apex Legends, I feel like in the beginning I was sort of hesitant with like people who would be a little more aggressive with comms and would be like, oh, you didn't do this right. Like maybe you should have stayed back and done that. And I feel like I would almost take it as insults, but like really they were just trying to help me. And then there's also points where like people would just be like outright toxic to you, you know, be like, oh, you're such a bad player, like you should have just done this and that, like in random voice comms in a game or like a ranked match or whatever. And you should probably brush off most of the things that people say that are toxic to you. I feel like sometimes like there's some truth into like certain things. So like if somebody's like, oh, like, you know, you don't know how to play that legend well, like you're not queuing right at the same time, or you're not utilizing your ultimate at the right time or whatever. And it's like normally you'd automatically want to be like, you know what, like screw you, dude, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I feel like nowadays I would be like, well, you know, maybe they did have a point. Like maybe I didn't actually, you know, extend the grapple far enough, or maybe I didn't place the portal down quick enough, or maybe I didn't throw the caustic gas. Like there's like a difference between constructive criticism and toxicity, but I feel like don't always like brush it off. Maybe sometimes you could just take it as like a something on the chin. I don't know the expression, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes you can take little things from what people say and make you improve as a player so that, you know, they won't maybe say something like that again to you.
I do have a follow-up. As a streamer, because you hear a lot of constructive criticism, whether it's good or bad and whether it's toxic, how do you personally deal with that? Because I think a lot of players probably don't understand that because, I mean, you're the expert because you see it all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm the expert, but I would say that, like, I don't know, to be honest with you, sometimes I really hate backseat gaming, especially from Twitch chat. Like, most of my chat knows that if you're gonna backseat game me, just like, you gotta word it in a certain way, because I feel like I get a little agitated easily. But I feel like delivery is really important when it comes to like constructive criticism. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta kind of like take it on the chin, and that's the expression, by the way. Take it on the chin. That's what I was trying to think of. Just go with it and be like, you know what? Hey, maybe they are right. So maybe you should learn from it instead of just resenting it all the time.
I like it. That's a good segue for both ends. It's like a 50-50, you know, it's not all just one person, you know. I really like that. So I have a follow-up question. With a lot of people struggle with this. Should you solo queue or wait for friends?
Honestly, as somebody who has solo queued a ton in Apex, I feel like you shouldn't just sit around and wait for your friends to play, because I think that there's so much value that you can gain from solo queuing in any first-person shooter. Not only do you learn more about yourself as a player, but you also learn more about how to be adaptive and how to sort of mend your playstyle to fit the randoms in your game, as well as your surroundings in your match, like with your enemies. I mean, there's so many different scenarios where you have to learn to be more aggressive, or you have to be more conservative when you play. And if you play with the same people every single time, you're not gonna learn to play differently, because, you know, you're playing the same way every single time. Like if Johnny and Sue are conservative players and you only play conservatively, you'll never improve as an aggressive, offensive player. You're not always going to get your favorite player. You're not always going to get your favorite legend. So you're going to have to learn new players or new legends rather. And with that comes new play styles. And I feel like it's really important to be a well-rounded player in a battle royale, especially if you're looking to play in higher competitive scenes like in ranked and or even the Apex Legends Global Series. I feel like you should branch out. Don't wait for your friends. Just go, nose first into it and just see what happens.
So the last question I have, and I'm going to add some, this will be more of an open debate after I get your thoughts as well, is Apex is not a dating service. So those that kind of treat it a little bit differently than others. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't think Apex is like somewhere that you should go to try to pick up, e-girls or like e-boys. I feel like if you're going into a match and you're going on there and you like, say you're a guy and you hear a girl's voice, like don't harass them, and if you're like, oh my God, it's a girl, like, you sound so pretty and all this, it really makes 9 times out of 10, you're making the girl really uncomfortable by saying that because she's already probably embarrassed enough to use her mic. Because as a woman, I know that I get absolutely destroyed all the time just for being a woman in the Apex scene. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the most obscene and profound things be said to me just because I'm a woman, and it never makes me want to use my mic. But thankfully, because I'm a streamer, I have tougher skin, so I can sort of handle it and just be able to like decide what to say and the right thing to say. And sometimes I lose my cool, but if you do feel like the person you're gaming with, oh, this person sounds really cool and they sound really nice, I don't know, like you should be their friend and just like casually game with them and not make them uncomfortable. And if something happens, it happens. Just let things organically happen and don't push yourself onto somebody romantically just because they're a girl or a guy in the Apex scene. I think it's cringe.
I think you brought up so many good points. It's odd because I actually know a few gaming couples that met over Apex, which is really positive. But at the same time, when we queue up, we're in the intention to play a game, right?
Right.
Which is the whole point and the intention behind it. And I even share your sentiment. I don't even have my microphone on, and I have the whole team muted. Just because it's out of concern of like, oh, they're going to say something wild, or I'm just trying to vibe and kind of hang out. But at the same time, as the match progresses and kind of see some synergy going, I usually unmute. I'm paying very close attention to what my teammates are doing. Usually I follow their lead 100% to kind of get a vibe of what's going on. And that can really open people up if the intention is, I'm going to play well, let's play together, right? Which is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, some of the best people that I've ever played with in Apex, like there's a few guys actually who I've ran into just in random queue matches and ranked, who I actually ended up like vibing with them really well, and we ended up playing for months and months and months after, because I was like, hey, like I'm also solo queuing if you want. And I feel like that's pretty like unheard of too for like a streamer, because streamers are pretty like, oh, I don't play with random people. And honestly, I'm guilty of even doing that whenever random people come in my chat. They're like, hey, like I'm also plat 1, you want to squad up? I'm like, no, I don't really I don't play with people that I don't know. But when it happens organically, like in a match, and you meet somebody and you vibe well, it would be silly to not want to game with them again just because you have an ego or like a pride or whatever. I've had so many friends I've made, and I'm still friends with to this day, who I've met in just random solo queue matches. I mean, we're not romantically involved or anything, but I do have a bunch of friends now who I would regularly game with.
I want to segue because I was going to handle this topic by myself, but now I want to ask the question, because there's a lot of people that come into chat and they always ask to play, or they want to push their social links, or they respond to you on Twitter with their social links and promote. What are your tips for people who, because I always hear the other side of it. Let me give a little context, where they say, oh, I'm just trying to put myself out there, or I'm just trying to find some new friends. Is this an appropriate place? And what can they do better as individuals?
So you're referring to like Twitch chat, right? Like
Twitch
if
chat,
somebody promotes themselves.
or Twitter, where they come by, hey, take a look at my channel, or hey man, can you do a shout out for me? Can you play with me? Can you want to hop in? Let's hang out. Add me on, like all that stuff.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Actually, I actually deal with this quite often. Inside of my channel, I tell people who come into my chat, right? They'll be like, hey, like, I'm also a streamer, just started out, like trying to get the feel for it. Do you have any tips or tricks or whatever? And, sometimes people will be like, yeah, I just finished streaming, or like, yeah, I just wanted to pop by. I'm about to go live myself. And, it's like they put those subtle like remarks in there to like let you know that they're also a streamer. They're also a content creator. Like, oh, hey, like I'm also about to stream. Personally, I know so many streamers who just like automatically ban people who do that. And I don't do that. What I like to do is, I'll let them know and be like, hey, I think that's really cool that you're promoting, or not promoting yourself, but sorry. I think that's really cool that you're trying to put yourself out there and you're trying to grow as a streamer. And, I'm more than happy to give you advice. However, it's like taboo to like sort of self-promo in other people's chats, as well as like, post your links on their social medias, because we worked hard to get where we are. We grinded by posting content on a bunch of different platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, even Twitch, like networking within the Twitch community. There's an organic way to do it and like inorganic. You can't just like ask for views and be like, hey, like I'm a streamer, you have to kind of like blend into the community. There's a bunch of people in my community who didn't start streaming until, they were in my community, and then they started streaming. But because they were involved in my community for a long time, and were members of my community, now they also have their own audience because they're friends with everyone in my community. And I mean, even I stop by their streams and support them, but it's like an organic way to do it. And you're also networking and creating friendships, like trying to like just push for that. Get the views, get the numbers, get just quick turnover and turnout. Like it just never works. There's no longevity in it, and it feels inorganic, and a lot of people pick up on it, like myself. And I try to be kind and considerate when they do it, because a lot of people just don't know that it's not good to do that. And I really do try to like educate them on it. And then sometimes you just have the people who don't care at all what you had to say, and then they'll just be like, well, I'm going live now if anyone wants to come by. And then they'll probably catch a ban because they just ignored everything I said. So
I honestly, we're the exact same, because I'm the same way. I don't outright ban people, but they come by and they'll say, can you shut up my YouTube channel? I'm like, man, YouTube doesn't work like that. Right. People have to genuinely watch your content. I always give the example. Let's say if the biggest person platform, let's just use Mr. Beast as an example, shout out your channel. If they have no idea who you are and you're not even in the video and you're not even trying to be a part of that community, they have no reason to watch you or even understand who you are as a person. It actually hurts your channel. It does the opposite. People will stop by for like 2 seconds, even if they click on it, and then disappear and never come back because they don't know who you are. And getting 100%. Ingrained into, like, I guess they forget that online is just an extension of real life. So if you just show up at a place, let's say it's just like a social gathering in a bar you don't frequent, but it's a very community driven bar, and you show up, you're like, hey guys, I'm gonna be a part now, you guys all want a drink? And it's like, do we know who you are? Like, you just got here. Can you just kind of like feel things out a little bit, say hello, anything, Exactly. You can't rush it, you can't force anything. It just has to sort of happen naturally. And I would say like my biggest tip for people who are trying to, promote themselves and like get bigger in streaming is post on other platforms for sure. Like utilize those hashtags, utilize those community groups and whatnot. Like go on Reddit, go on YouTube, go on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Like don't just promote yourself on Twitch. It will not get you far at all. Agreed. Speaking of which, you definitely got to follow Lex on her Twitch channel, but you got to follow Lex. She's at an amazing community. I love watching Lex. I've been a member there or Twitch subscription there for 20 plus months now. So you definitely got to go follow her and support her channels.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.